Hello there, Falcha. You are very welcome to another episode of Inside the Game. This week, we're looking ahead to the All-Ireland football semi-final between Tyrone and Kerry. And I'm delighted to be joined by our regular analysts, Peter Canavan and Kieran Donaghy. You're both very welcome. We'll be chatting to the lads shortly. But before that, let's look back on the All-Ireland hurling final and how it finished. Yes, Limerick are the All-Ireland champions for the second year in a row, 332 to 122 against Cork, the final score. Let's look back on how it happened.
It is the highlight of the hurling year, the day when all roads lead here to Croke Park and the last men standing enter the arena. It's the champions Limerick against the challengers Cork. Cian Lynch again, the former hurler of the year. He's a magician. Lovely ball to Hegarty. Goal! The Green Machine have taken less than 2 minutes to open the Cork back line, and it's the 2020 Hurler of the Year, Gearóid Hegarty, who draws first blood. Limerick turn defence to attack. Flanagan, Gillane. Limerick strike again. Aaron Gillane with his 8th championship goal, and the champions go 4 in front. And Limerick are inside enemy territory. Lynch with the quick hands. Hegarty goes low. Hegarty strikes his second goal. It's all going Limerick's way. From the power of Kyle Hayes to the precision of Gearóid Hegarty. And there goes the final whistle. History is made. And Limerick's status as one of the greatest teams of all time has been cemented in style.
For sure.
John Kiley's team have kept their date with destiny, and Limerick win back-to-back All-Irelands for the very first time.
Yeah, what a phenomenal achievement and terrific performance from the Treaty men. Their 3rd All-Ireland title, of course, in 4 years. Kieran, you were watching it, you were tweeting about it. What did you make of it?
Oh, it just unbelievably impressed, really, Gráinne, by, I suppose, the power, the pace and the class of this Limerick team. And, you know, you couple that with the shape they're in and how tactically they are aware. No, Cork looking back in it will, you know, Del Rue maybe not holding their half-back line, you know, back in front of that full forward line, because they certainly caused chaos. But, you know, I think Limerick's half-forward line is up there with the great Kilkenny half-forward line that they had in their pomp. And I think Hegarty, Lynch and Morrissey are 3 absolutely outstanding individuals, and all different types of players, but together they're a pretty awesome line. And yeah, look, it's a great team that aren't going anywhere. They're looking very like, you know, what Dublin were in the football a number of years ago, Gráinne, and you know, I don't see them going anywhere soon.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk about that comparison, Peter, isn't it, between the Dublin footballers and also that Kilkenny great team and the Naughties as well. What do you make of that comparison? Do you agree with it?
Well, it might be somewhat premature, Gráinne, but there's no doubt in the class that this Limerick team possess. In the semi-final, they were asked questions physically. Cork tried to open the game up, and my God, Limerick just blew them away with sheer class and the quality of the stick work. But regarding whether or not they have the potential to be as good as Galway or Dublin, they certainly have the personnel, they have the age profile, and in John Kiley and his backroom team, they have a brilliant setup. So I wouldn't be surprised. There's definitely more to come in this team, and God help the rest of the counties.
Yeah, that's what we were saying afterwards as well. But congratulations once more to Limerick. It's a terrific achievement, and they, of course, are favourites to retain Liam McCarthy next year and win 3 in a row. But let's turn our attention now to our game this Saturday, which sees Tyrone and Kerry playing in Croke Park at 3:30 p.m. We're live from 2:30 p.m. This game, of course, was postponed from the 14th of August due to a COVID outbreak in the Tyrone camp. Firstly, Peter, how is everybody in Tyrone, and will everybody play this Saturday?
Well, as far as I know, they're all back out of training, Gráinne. There appears to be less information coming out of the camp this week than there was last week. Not even the birds are flying over GAA this week, I don't think. So as far as I know, they're all back. Whether or not they're all doing the same level or training or not, or training together, I'm not too sure. But I know they're happy to get the extra week, and I would like to think that they'll be in good shape come Saturday.
What has been the most challenging aspect of this, Kieran, from a Kerry perspective?
I don't think that, I suppose the only real challenge, Gráinne, is they would have had themselves, rightly primed for 2 weeks ago, and that lead up to the game when I suppose Tyrone put the ultimatum to Croke Park, and there was probably a day or two there waiting around, but I think the word started circulating around Kerry that, the game was going to be put back. So I guess it was kind of, rescheduling the training format to have them up for this Saturday as well, because they'll need to be rightly primed for this game. As Peter rightly said, if Tyrone are in shape and in good condition, and there's the secrets aren't coming out from their training this week, they're going to be rightly primed to come down to and have a real go off Kerry, and they'll be looking to test this Kerry team in a way that Kerry haven't been tested, I think, so far this year. So they're going to look to bring shock and awe to Kerry, and Kerry will have to be ready for that. So it's just about for Kerry, Gráinne, it's just about getting right back up to the pitch of it for Saturday at 3:30. Nothing else matters below here in the Kingdom.
Okay, well, just to remind you once more what our featured game is this weekend. It's the All-Ireland football semi-final. Tyrone and Kerry are meeting a repeat of the All-Ireland semi-final of 2 years ago, and we'll find out who will be meeting Mayo in the All-Ireland final on the 11th of September. But we're going to take a short break, but when we come back, we're going to turn our attention to the main talking points for the game on Saturday. Welcome back, and I'm delighted to be joined by our regular football pundits, Kieran Donaghy and Peter Canavan. So let's look ahead to this weekend's game. And Kieran, the first question is, how good are Kerry this season?
Gráinne, look, they're definitely playing, well. They look very good in patches. Coming into the weekend, I've done a good bit of watching of their games. They've had periods in games where they've been very quiet. There's a period in Tipperary game where Tipperary were down to 13 players, and I don't think Kerry scored in that period. So there's been flashes of brilliance, and there's been inconsistencies there as well. But when they've been good, they've been very good. I think there is an understanding in Kerry of the level of competition that we've played so far, and the road to this All-Ireland semi-final versus, I suppose, the road that Tyrone would have come through, which was a much tougher way to go about it. But Kerry they've looked sensational since the first day out. If you remember David Clifford and Paddy Clifford banging in the goals against Galway, it's been pretty plain sailing there, bar the 4 goals conceded against Dublin in that league game, which we came back to draw. But other than that, Kerry have looked quite good. But I think this is the business end for any Kerry player that's ever put on the jerseys. When you get into Croke Park, into an All-Ireland semi-final where there's no back door, there's no other way through but just to win. This is what they'll be judged on. Will be Saturday at 3:30. But going on what they've produced so far, they've looked sensational at times. But they're all very acutely aware that there's a much bigger test coming on Saturday.
Peter, they haven't been tested. They've had a 5-week layoff. So where do you feel Kerry are at, though?
It's hard to know. It's very hard to say. Kieran has made the point for spells in the games that have been quiet. And I know it's been very difficult the last 2 weeks because Peter Keane would have been preparing his game for 2 weeks ago and getting to peak for then. He's had to, tell them, boys, we're taking it back down a level, preparing for the week after, and the same again. So look, it's been difficult for Kerry coming into it. But what Kerry do have is they have a very strong panel of players, and for years we've listened to how strong the in-house games were in the Dublin panel. They didn't go and play challenge games. They had a strong enough panel. Look at the subs that have come on for Kerry in the previous game. So I would imagine training would still have been very competitive. They would have been playing in-house games at various stages. So you'd like to think the Kerry players are going to be in good shape. They're playing Tyrone. There is a bit of history there. So in terms of motivation, I don't think he'll have any bother motivating Kerry to play Tyrone in an All-Ireland semi-final.
Kickouts, Kieran, and the execution of them is going to be key as well. Like, what are you expecting to see from both sides?
Gráinne, it's a good question because it's the most important part of the game in this modern GAA that we've kind of seen develop over the last number of years. And for me, Niall Morgan has been one of the best. I think Kerry Shane Ryan was injured, hasn't overly, really settled to be to be very comfortable in that role as a goalkeeper. He's an outfield player with his club. He plays full forward for Rathmore. And I think he's just starting to find his kind of feet. He's had a few fluttery issues in games with kickouts. That's something that Tyrone will no doubt be looking in on. How do they ramp up the pressure? They did quite a good job on Rory Beggan early on in the game. Rory Beggan's one of the best components of the kickout in the GAA, and he was all over the place early on in that game against Tyrone when Tyrone built up their lead. So that's certainly an area where they look to focus in on. And Kerry's press has been quite effective, Gráinne, in the Munster Championship, but that's also caveated with the point of the level of keeper that they've played here in Munster wouldn't be at Niall Morgan's level. So kickouts are going to be fascinating. The role of the keeper. We saw Niall Morgan up on a full court press at the top of the press, in the inside forward line for one of Rory Beggan's kickouts when the game was in the Milton Pot in the Ulster final, which was quite amazing to see. That level of belief in your game to be able to do that. I'm not sure the Tyrone management would have been overly happy with it, but he was there. And, you could see something like, Shane Ryan is playing adventurous on the Kerry press. He's out in his own 45 as a member of the back two of the press. As I said, an outfield player, could he get more involved on the ball for Kerry if Tyrone put a high press on him, which Kerry really haven't faced in that Munster Championship, Gráinne. So there's loads of questions around these two men, and they will have a huge bearing on whoever's going to win this game on Saturday.
That roaming goalkeeper, I should say, that Niall Morgan brings, is that a tactic that Tyrone are going to use at the weekend, Peter?
Well, that's the way Niall plays. That's his natural game. Kieran has made the point that two goalkeepers like to play outfield. And I know Niall's very comfortable on the ball. I hope he's not up marking any of the Kerry cornerbacks for the kickouts. I don't think he's any need to press that far up. But Kieran's right. The battle of the kickouts is going to be so important. Down in Killarney, when Tyrone struggled, Tyrone had great difficulty in winning their own kickout. They had it long. Kerry was dominating it in the middle, and Niall tried to place it out to the wings and out to the halfbacks and medium distance kickouts. Kerry were wiping the floor with them, and not only were they winning the kickouts, but they were pouncing, they were attacking straight away and getting goals from that. So that's massive on Saturday. Tyrone will obviously hope to have addressed that problem. And vice versa. I thought for spells in the Clare game, when Clare played Kerry in the Championship, there were spells when Clare were effective pushing up on the Kerry kick-out. So I'd imagine both teams are going to go for it. They're going to be really aggressive. And you will see Morgan coming out and you will see the Kerry goalkeeper doing likewise. So it's going to be an interesting battle.
So speaking of matchups, like you're Peter Keane, what matchups are giving him sleepless nights the past week or two?
I think the Tyrone full forward line, if they can, we don't know the COVID circumstances. We don't know how many starters of the Tyrone team had it, who had it, whatever way, that would all be rumour. Only they inside in their own camp know that, and their families. So, if they can start with the Conor McKenna, McCurry and McShane inside, McShane's after getting another 2 or 3 weeks of work and knocking that rustiness off him. McKenna, I know he was struggling with a bit of a grind early on, should have come really good by now. So they'll be, that's the area that Peter Keane will be worried about coming into this game. And how do Jason Foley will probably pick up possibly McKenna. There could be a shout for looking to start Tyke Morley because size-wise, maybe Breen Begley would pick up McShane and maybe Tom Sullivan is the man for Darren McCurry and maybe try and pull him out the pitch a small bit because Tom's exploits going forward are something that Kerry use to their advantage. But that's the big, huge talking point and the big dilemma that Peter Keane will have in his head is how do they protect that full back line a little bit better and to get those matchups right on what could be, we don't know the teams yet, but what could be. And I'm sure Tyrone won't play with the team that they name as usual. They'll name a few fellas in there to keep everybody guessing as they do at the start of games. But it's how that Kerry full back line hold up to that will have a big bearing on what way the result goes.
Yeah, and the same question for you then, Peter, from a Tyrone perspective. I imagine the Kerry attack is giving Brian Dooher and Fergal Logan some sleepless nights as well. But what for you or where for you is the main cause of concern from a Tyrone perspective?
The most obvious concern is the two men up front, Sean O'Shea and David Clifford, two players that are playing exceptionally well at the minute. So be it Ronan McNamee or Paddy Hampshire, probably the likely candidates that will have that lovely job. But the other man that has probably been Kerry's best player and most consistent player in this year's league and championship, I don't know if Kieran agrees with me or not, but would be Paddy Clifford. And his performances, and in terms of his contribution to the overall Kerry forward line, he's a creator. He plays most of his football on the 40. He can thread passes through, he can deliver long passes, or he can simply take his man on. And at various stages against Cork, he ended up winning possession on the inside forward line. And likewise, his first train of thought wasn't to take the ball back out again, it was to go at his man, and he's well able to do that. So, and he's not somebody that just a half-back can play on because of that. He can move about and very effective in a number of positions. So, in terms of matchups, you go through the forward line, and Cork concentrated a lot on David Clifford, and Paul Guinea ends up getting a couple of goals. So, look, it's a difficult assignment, and the easiest way to mark a very good forward line is not to let them get the ball, and that's the onus is on the players in the middle third to work extremely hard and to try and limit the quality of ball going into a very good Kerry attack.
So we're all really looking forward to it. But Kieran, who's going to win, and by how much for you?
It's hard to call, Gráinne. Just on the point of view, it's pretty hard to know where Tyrone and their key players have been at over the last number of weeks and how badly they've been affected. But if you take it on the point of view that Peter said earlier on, that they're going to come and most of them are fully fit, it's going to be a really tight game, and I'd be hoping maybe that Kerry's bench and Kerry's attacking options off the bench. In this game in 2019, Gráinne, the score was 118 to 18 points in favour of Kerry in a really tight game that Kerry looked in trouble at half time. The difference in that game is Kerry brought on Tommy Walsh, and he was a great outlet for the Kerry middle third players that they could hit him with ball. He started bringing Killian Spillane and David Clifford into the game. The boys found their scores a little easier to come by. And I think Kerry might nick it by 2 or 3 points with Tommy Walsh and Killian Spillane and the likes of Micheál Burns coming off the bench to add real punch to that Kerry attack later on.
For you, Peter?
I'm not too sure about it being a hard game to call, Kieran. The bookies have Kerry 7-1 on to win this. So, look, I think Tyrone simply have too much ground to catch up on Kerry. The situation with COVID hasn't helped things. People are in the dark as to where a number of players stand. So I would certainly like to think Tyrone will be competitive. I'll be extremely disappointed if they're not. But I agree with Kieran. They do have a stronger bench. And if both teams play to their full potential, I still think Kerry's going to win. So Kerry by a couple of points to me, yeah.
Okay, well, we'll see if that materialises. But Kerry fans, of course, will be hoping that they will be in the All-Ireland final on the 11th of September, and a certain Brazilian footballer will be there donning the green and gold of Kerry. Ronaldinho was presented with a Kerry jersey by Brosnan's Paul Walsh recently. Let's just remind ourselves of this story, and our GAA editor, Brian Barry, caught up with him recently.
Obviously, I've always been a fan of Ronaldinho. He's my childhood hero. I grew up, even when I was younger, I used to want to cut my hair just so I could have long curly hair like him. So basically, over a year ago, I noticed that his brother, Assis, who's also his agent, had made a new Instagram account, and I didn't really know why. I thought it was something temporary. Maybe his other account got hacked or something. And I gave him a follow anyway. And I said, this is kind of an opportunity here to get in touch with somebody who you've idolized for your whole life. So I just said, I'm just going to send a message. Didn't have any expectations. I had to put my messages into Google Translate because I've no Portuguese, obviously. But I woke up one morning and I couldn't believe it. He'd responded. So
between messaging on Instagram, how does it actually come about that you're ending up in his house and having a drink with him and having a few kickabouts?
I suppose there was it was over a year of kind of messaging back and forth. I showed him a few videos of Gaelic football. maybe they got interested in that. I don't know. And then was it last week? I got a message from SE saying that they were in Miami and he's gone back to his house in Rio. And he said he could arrange it for me to meet him there. And I couldn't believe it. I just booked the flight straight away.
Yeah, eventually meet him from there. How did that go? Or I saw you obviously presented him with a Kerry jersey.
Yeah, I'd said that I was going to give him a Kerry jersey before I came over. Like, so first thing he did was he came. I couldn't believe how nice he was. He was the nicest lad you could meet, completely down to earth. Came over, gave me a handshake, gave me a hug. I gave him the jersey then. He asked me to sign it, and I brought over a few jerseys that I'd had, Brazil, Barcelona, Milan, that kind of thing. And he signed all of them for me. And we just played a bit of football in for the night and had a few beers. It was the first time I was ever completely starstruck. You're just looking at somebody and it's almost like they're not real. It takes a few moments, but you have to snap out of it and don't waste your opportunity with the person you wanted to meet.
What an extraordinary story, Kieran. I mean, did that ever happen to you? Did you ever think of doing something like that?
No, we met Usain Bolt on a holiday in Jamaica, and it's right what Paul says, and it's something that the GAA players, all around Ireland are brilliant ambassadors for their county because, just being nice to people, having time to take a photo with them, all that kind of stuff. It's so great that he got that experience when you meet your idols. I had something similar. I met Magic Johnson running down a prom in Miami one time, and I was nervous to ask him for a photo and to stand in with him, and I jogged behind him for about 20 minutes deliberating on would I stop him or would I catch up with him and talk to him or not. And he stopped eventually and I did. And like that, in the photo I have with him, it's nearly I'm the nervous one and Magic is there with the big smile. So, it is lovely when you meet these people, and something the GAA players all over the country are brilliant at, and something that, we love to see going forward. But lovely that he met his idol, and that his idol was that nice to him and flew him over to meet him, which is extra special, I suppose.
Yeah, and you never know if Kerry win. I'm sure he might be getting an invite to an All-Ireland final. But Peter, what about Tyrone? Anything like that ever happened? Thinking of doing anything like that?
No, not up here. I'm just thinking Ronaldinho and Clifford in the full forward line would be some pair, all right. But whatever it is about the Kerry folk being soccer mad, I recall a few years ago a Kerry All-Star missing a training session prior to an All-Ireland final, took over and watched Chelsea in Stamford Bridge. So I don't know what's in the water down there, but there's soccer mad.
You've got a few of the facts wrong. It was a Munster semi-final, Peter, and it was a Champions League final in Germany, and I take the dropping all day, every day for it.
It must have been Kieran.
Well, we now know that it was Kieran. So Peter and Kieran, thank you so much for your company today, for being on the show. We, of course, will be chatting again at the All-Ireland semi-final on Saturday in Croke Park with Jim McGuinness, and looking forward to that. So just to remind you then of our big game coming up on Saturday. The All-Ireland football semi-final is our feature game between Kerry and Tyrone. Throw-in is at 3:30 p.m. and we'll be live on air from 2:30. We're back next week with another episode of Inside the Game as well, looking back on this weekend's action and ahead to the All-Ireland final. But Sinead, my thanks to all the team and for you for joining us here this evening. We look forward to your company again on Saturday at the All-Ireland football semi-final. But until then, from all of us here, Slán and take care.
Sky Sports. Feel it all.